The marketing landscape is shifting faster than anyone predicted. The old maps don't work. And the brands that are winning aren't following a better playbook, they're pioneering on without one. This is Brandistry Buzz, a podcast for marketers who are ready for whatever comes next. I'm Nate Challen, brand strategist, marketing executive, and someone who's spent 3 decades helping brands navigate uncertain territories. Each week, we'll take one idea, in marketing, leadership, or innovation, and follow it through until it's actually useful. Real examples, honest takes, clear recommendations. So let's buzz! Over the past few weeks, I've watched 2 people I admire tell the world they were opting out of AI. On the Curiosity Shop podcast with Brené Brown, Adam Grant argued, while discussing the recent booings of commencement speakers, that AI was like a performance-enhancing drug, that it wasn't fair to hold people who don't use AI to the same standard as people that do. Around the same time, strategist Alex M.H. Smith said he never uses AI in his own work because leaning on it feels like a way of avoiding actual thinking. These aren't laggards. They're 2 of the sharpest thinkers I follow. But what stuck with me was the contradictions hiding within their arguments. How can AI be an unfair advantage if AI-generated work doesn't really connect with people? How can AI be like a performance-enhancing drug and make your performance weaker? So which is it? An edge so strong it's cheating, or a crutch so obvious the reader feels it? It can't be both, but the question says a lot about where we actually are. 2 years ago, we lived in a world of mostly AI knots. While ChatGPT had made generative AI cheap and available to anyone with a browser, most people hadn't touched it. They were too busy, unconvinced it was worth the effort, or quietly afraid it would be too hard to figure out. A year ago, we moved into a world of AI haves and have-nots. Trading use cases became normal dinner conversation. Fewer people were scared. More people were convinced it mattered. The divide wasn't belief anymore. It was really the time. Who had the hours to suffer the learning curve? Who was still just poking around? Who had actually rebuilt the way they worked around it? That divide was, and still is, very personal, and it keeps moving. I've used AI as a research partner and a writing assistant for well over a year. I only recently started writing code with it, and I still haven't built my own automations. On any given task, each of us is a have or have not, and the line continues to shift as fast as the capability of the tools. Which brings me to a third state of AI, one I'm watching take shape now. Not AI nots, not AI haves and have-nots, but AI wills and will-nots. The barrier used to be capability, now it's choice. The people opting out aren't the ones who can't. In fact, they're often the ones that could use AI the most easily and are deciding not to. So coming back to the contradiction, is AI an unfair advantage or an obvious weakness? My honest answer is that AI is neither. It's an amplifier. When I hand it a lazy prompt and ask it to do the whole thing for me, I get back something better than I deserve and worse than what I want. Seemingly competent, but hollow on closer inspection. That's the weakness the skeptics are pointing at, and they're not wrong about that version of it. However, when I work with AI, directing it, feeding it my own thinking, researching alongside it, pushing back on what it gives me, I move faster and land somewhere better than I would have reached alone. Partly because it lets me take on things I wouldn't have tried at all. The tool didn't decide which of those outcomes I got, my judgment did. AI doesn't replace the thinking, it rewards the people who bring more of it, and exposes the people who bring less. That's not an unfair advantage, it's the same advantage good judgment has always offered. AI is bringing the next industrial revolution, and we're standing in the middle of it. Every transition is like this, it's been uncomfortable, and the discomfort has never been evenly shared. If you're the one being laid off while someone blames the software, none of the history books make this hurt less. Some of the cuts pinned on AI aren't actually about AI at all. We're actively dealing with the results of early pandemic overhiring, inflation, and a fog of tariff and oil uncertainty. But AI makes a cleaner excuse because it sounds like a strategy instead of a volatility. What history does tell us, however, is that we come out on the other side more productive. 2 weeks ago, I sat through a morning of startup pitches from founders across multiple sectors whose businesses simply couldn't have existed before. Ideas AI made possible or affordable or fast enough to be real. The opportunity is already here, and while they will not sit on the sideline, the race is running on without them. So here's 2 curves worth watching. As I thought about this issue, I kept thinking about change curves. Gartner developed the Hype Cycle, a map that shows the current state of technology adoption. This past year, they put generative AI in what they call the trough of disillusionment, the point where the shine wears off and the reality sets in. That fits the wills and the will not moments perfectly. The hype is cooled, the people are tired, but the trough isn't the end of the story. It's the stretch right before the slope of enlightenment where the people who stayed figure out how to make it work. There's also a more personal version of this, the Kubler-Ross change curve. Dr. Mark Scullard, a psychologist who studies how we move through change, adapted it to describe the emotional dip individuals go through during any real disruption. In his version, not everyone climbs back out. Some of the people quit at the bottom, reorienting themselves out of the change entirely rather than through it. That's what worried me most about Adam and Alex's stances. Declaring you're out at the bottom of the curve isn't neutral. It's a decision to stay in the trough. So here's some tips on how you can be an AI will, not an AI will not. Number 1, direct it. Don't defer to it. The difference between super and sloppy is whether you're steering or outsourcing. Bring your thinking to the tool, not the other way around. Number 2, work iteratively. The one-shot, do-it-all-for-me prompt is where the hollow output comes from. Treat it like a draft partner, not a vending machine. Proactively ask it to challenge you and wrestle with what it gives you. Number 3, go deep on one real use case before you judge the whole thing. You can't evaluate a category from a single lazy experiment. Pick something you actually do and rebuild it with AI before you decide it doesn't work. Number 4, don't treat the trough like a ceiling. Fatigue and disappointment are exactly what the middle of a transition feels like. That's a reason to keep going, not a reason to declare it's over. And finally, judge the output, not the origin. The question of quality shouldn't be whether or not AI was involved. It's whether the work earns someone's attention and their time. That's on your judgment and the judgment of your audience, and it always has been. I posted a few weeks ago about the difference between cattle and bison. When a storm rolls in, cattle's run away from it. They delay the reckoning, and in doing so, they actually stay inside the storm longer. Bison do the opposite. They run straight into it and pass through the other side as fast as they can. AI is a storm none of us gets to avoid, but every one of us gets to choose how we'll meet it. You get to choose whether you'll be cattle or bison. You can be a will or you can be a will not. So are you ready? That's it for this week's Brandistry Buzz. One more idea to help you navigate whatever comes next. If this episode made you think, subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss what's next. And come find me on LinkedIn where I'm posting between episodes, trends, takes, and the occasional things that I'm still figuring out. Prefer to read? Brandistry Buzz is also a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn and Substack. Links are in the show notes. I'll be back next week. In the meantime, stay ready.